Well, hello, everyone. I am joined today by Mr. A.D. Robles. Right? Did I pronounce that right? I always mispronounce your name.
It's like it's as if it was a Z at the end, so it's Robles.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
I think it's what
later
you said,
in the show we're gonna have some Spanish pronunciations, so I'm gonna need your help with those too. But we're talking today about the discourse this week. A lot of interesting stuff in the discourse. A lot of interesting stuff about promiscuity and virginity and that kind of stuff. That always gets people going, and certainly did this particular week. Plus, there's quite a few other things to talk about. But I think, just kicking it off for anybody that was not on the internet this week. Plus, I don't want to. We could talk about the Iran war for the 15 millionth time, but that's probably not your area of expertise.
I'm the wrong guy to talk to you about that. Yeah.
So, what do you think happens first? The Iran war ends, or the Jets get an interception on defense?
Obviously, I have to go with the Iran war. I mean, the Jets may never get an interception again.
Yeah, we'll see, man. I don't like. What's gonna happen is the season's gonna start, and first play of the game, they're gonna get a pick like that. Like that's what's gonna happen. And the Iran war might still be going in September.
It could be. Yeah. So, listen, we were talking about the Jets before we went live, and you can always count on the Jets to do something historic in the wrong way. And the no interceptions thing, that'll never be repeated ever again. It's just unbelievable and very funny.
I mean, especially you could see it in the NFL when they in the 1930s when they threw two passes a game, right? But now when it's 60 or 70% passing, that's insane. So anyway,
you could get one by accident. I know they happen on accident all the time.
Yeah, it's
and the thing is, you probably didn't watch the game.
Whatever.
I watched the games. Most games they weren't even close. There's a few times he dropped it, whatever. Most games they weren't even almost getting an interception. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it's uncanny. The season ended and there's all sorts of stuff going on, and no one pays attention to the Jets, right? But then I see that headline, and you see headlines on Twitter, and you think oh, this is a fake clickbait account, some kind of Indian AI slop or whatever. And I see it, and it was from and then you always, back in the day, you used to have to check because there'd be that guy Uncle Chaps who would change his name to Rappaport or whatever, and say something crazy. And so I thought it was something like that, and no, it turns out totally real. They didn't get a single pick all year. Just nuts. But that's what everyone's tuning in for, is New York Jets talk here today. But
yeah, right.
But man. It was pretty wild this week. The discourse, you can kind of set your watch by it. It's okay, it's time to talk about how David was actually a rapist, or is it yoga pants season again? It's cyclical. It always goes back and back and back to the same topics, and usually it's one like this where it's here's why you should prefer a single mom to a girl who has been chaste her entire life and is perfect, very godly and has very strong character. You should actually, marry a single mom or a girl who was on OnlyFans instead. That's more virtuous. And I mean, obviously I'm exaggerating, but not by a whole lot. And so this is kind of an iteration of that where it was well, actually the repentant promiscuous girl is more pure than most virgins. So what, I'm sure you saw it. What were your thoughts, your immediate, instantaneous reaction to that post?
Well, so it obviously blew up, and I didn't know how big it was when I first saw it. But when I first saw it, my first response was what kind of husband's gonna just put this out there. You know, even if it's true, all of that, like my first reaction was just like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even believe it. But later I found out that, you know, this is actually like his business. So then it made sense. But yeah, that was my first thing. Like, is there no discretion left at all? We're just going to put everything out there. Yeah. It's just wild to me. Like, this is one thing that I probably would want to protect the most if I was married to a woman like that.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like, I remember, you know, when I was first married, I was hanging out with my pastor and a few other people from our church. And, you know, I told a joke about my wife, you know, something that was, you know, mildly unflattering. And, you know, he took me aside later and said, like, hey, like, you can't do that. Your wife, like, you need to protect. And it's like, it wasn't, you know, a big deal. Like, you didn't say anything scandalous or anything like that, but like, you need to protect her dignity always.
Yeah.
Like this is your wife, man. Like, this is not like your buddy that you're joking around with. This is your wife. And you need to only ever talk about her in the highest regard. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, and he just like rebuked me for my, you know, lack of understanding of what the duties of a husband are. And that like stuck with, I mean, I've been married 15 years now, and that's like stuck with me the entire time, where it's like, I don't even, you know, say anything bad about her that like she wouldn't want anybody to know, even things she's told people herself, like, you know, in a self-deprecating way. Like, I don't even do that. I don't even repeat those. It's like, okay, if you want to do that, that's one thing. But even there, it's like, no, never, ever, ever, ever am I going to do that. And it's like, and my wife is great. And she, has always been a Christian, always been faithful, always had very strong, high character. And so, but if she didn't, and then comes to the Lord, has a, you know, dramatic conversion and all of that, like, we wouldn't talk about any of those things. Like, that would not be something I would build a big brand out of, because I'm wanting to protect her dignity. Right. Yeah. And so that was the first thing I saw, is like, what are you doing? Why would you do this? And then I saw, like, it had been, you know, it'd been going for a while. So he had already had like a follow-up post and saying like, oh, she delights in sharing this testimony and all of this. And I'm like, yeah, man, like, you shouldn't care. You should still tell her no, that we're not doing this
absolutely
anymore. Yeah, like, you're her husband.
Yeah. So when I saw that part of it about how, you know, she's sharing her testimony, she wants to do it. And, you know, lots of people jumped on in support of that because, you know, obviously, like, testimonies can be powerful. Like, everyone agrees with that. We all agree with that. Right. But what I started thinking of then was like, I agree. Like a very like extreme testimony can be powerful. That's true. But still, like, maybe that might be okay for a guy, but your wife, though, like I just don't know that I like that's worth parading around. Like, again, there's got to be some discretion as well. There's got to be some, you know, I don't know. It just, maybe I can't articulate why this is, but it just seems different for your wife than for you to do it. Like, if I was all mixed up with drugs, you know, and stuff like that. I mean, I dabbled with that stuff when I was a pagan. I didn't have like this extreme situation, you know, that happened to me. But me telling you that, like, it's different. Like, if my wife had been through that kind of stuff, like, I wouldn't want her doing that. Like, I don't want her to be that punching bag, right? Because we saw what happened. I mean, that's exactly what happened. She became a punching bag. And, you know, guys can take it. Like, I could take, if I'm gonna be the lightning rod, I'll be the lightning rod. But like, our women shouldn't be doing that.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, exactly. Yeah, like I can handle, you know, guys with something Groiper in my replies saying you're fat, you know, you're a loser. You're stupid. Like I can handle that stuff. My wife can't. Like I don't even post pictures of my family on the internet or do anything because it's like they don't need that. They don't deserve that. They don't need to, like I can take the hits. I could be attacked. That's fine. They can't and they shouldn't. Right. It's my job to protect them from that. And so it's like, yeah. And so a lot of it is like, I think, there's some good comment. I haven't, read all the comments, but this is a good one from Gray Duck. This largely comes as the natural end of testimony as a counterfeit sacrament. Friend of the show, Forms Respecter. What's up, Forms Respecter? Had a good thread on his alt account. I think you pull that thread up. I'm going to read it, and I'll just steal
I read that
his
too,
content.
and I liked it as well. Yeah.
Let me find it. It was I used the bookmark function on the X everything app. So
I've only ever done that on accident. I've never actually bookmarked anything for real.
Apparently like bookmarks are way more powerful to the algorithm than likes or even retweets. So yeah, here's what he says. This is his. I probably can't even read his the name of his alt because that might get my channel nuked.
Don't do it.
He has a habit of getting in trouble on the internet. There's a destructive. I can't even name the handle. Something all judges. Anyway, there's a destructive aspect of evangelical thinking present here that nobody is talking about, and it falls on a regarded Eggman to bring it to light. Evangelicalism incentivizes hedonism. What do I mean by that? White evangelicals are the bulwark against moral insanity in America. So how can it be that evangelicalism incentivizes hedonism? There are two interrelated ways evangelicals do this. First, evangelicals teach that the primary role of Christians is to evangelize. Makes sense. It's in the name. In principle, this doesn't need to incentivize hedonism. The problem comes from the evangelical theory of how to evangelize. Do evangelicals stick to the script of the one book in their canon, Acts? Nope. They rely on personal testimony. Their pitch is that Jesus will transform your life. So the bigger the transformation, the bigger the pitch. This elevates former degenerates to a sort of superstar position. They get put on a pedestal and are implicitly made the model for Christianity. So this woman, for example, is an influencer, and Nala it was immediately promoted upon her conversion, despite the fact that putting a new convert in such a position is specifically spoken against in the Bible. The second factor is conversionism. The way evangelicals view conversion makes it safer to have been degenerate before coming to Christ. After all, if you've always had faith and never really acted excessively sinfully, how can you be sure you're really saved? The mark of conversion is a transformed life. There must be an instance you can point to where you accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior that showed a marked break from your previous life. Don't have that? Sucks to be you. You won't get assurance of salvation. After all, how can you know you really have faith? Maybe you're secretly legalistic and think your good behavior is what makes you a Christian. Very good thread. And I think the point that he makes, I'm clicking all the different buttons, all the different, Forms Respecter mentioned. There he is. Yes. Hello. Good afternoon, sir. I can't figure out why Forms would need an alt. Nullify all judiciary. That's right. But the point that he makes about conversionism is especially prescient here, because really, like the core of evangelicalism is second great awakening revivalism, and so conversionism is like at a foundational thing there, that the normal experience of Christendom for most people for thousands of years was my parents were Christians, my grandparents were Christians, my great grandparents were Christians, And all these people that I'm descended from, that I don't even know what their names were, they were all Christians too. And I was baptized before I could speak or before I could even remember anything. And I have always been part of the church. I have always considered myself a Christian. I've always believed in Jesus. I've always, pursued faithfulness to him and obedience to him. And that's all I know. And the radical change to that occurred in the early to mid 19th century, where it's like, no. You got to have a come to Jesus moment, right? You got to have you got to walk down the aisle and pray the sinner's prayer. You got to have an experience like that, or else you are not really saved. And that became all the rage, and has been for 100 and almost 200 years now. Within that segment of Christianity, particularly of Protestantism in America, and so that's a hard thing to shake, because you don't see those kinds of things in Scripture. Yes, you do see people convert, right? You do see dramatic conversion experiences. The Apostle Paul, for example, but you don't see that in the whole warp and woof of Scripture as the norm, right? You see the faith passed down generation to generation to generation. And so, I mean, part of it, the reason, the question that's always kind of concerned me, and maybe, sometimes I just sit and ponder. I just sit and I ponder. I almost did the clip. I know what you're laughing about. I almost did the Seinfeld clip. Do you ever yearn, George?
You ever yearn?
I don't think I've ever yearned, Kramer. I've hungered. Or what does he say? I'm messing it up now.
Pondered? Yeah, I forget the line too.
I can't remember the line, but I've never yearned. But so I just sit and ponder these things, man. And so much of it is like this intersection of the things that are unique about American culture, which is we're highly individualistic, and not just in the sense like, I'm going to pick myself up by my own bootstraps kind of thing and do it all myself. But we exist as almost these like monads, where other human beings, there isn't any sort of sense of covenantalism or dare I say it, communitarianism, where you are part of a people. You aren't just merely an individual. And so I think, those two things intersect at the same time. There's a reason why that is so dominant in America, because this is how Americans are, is we think of ourselves as individuals. We don't think of ourselves as part of an organic whole. And so this fits hand in glove with revivalism. And so, so I don't know if you have any thoughts about that. I've been talking the whole time.
I mean, straight up, in my opinion, what you're describing is a sales tactic. It's a sales pitch. Yeah. So, my job, I'm a recruiter, so I do a lot of selling, and things like that. And it sounds just like what I want to do. Like, I want to tell a story about a company that was having a hard time, finding people for certain roles. And then they hired me, and then now it's much easier. Like, that's the basic bare bones of it. Right. Yep. And I'm going to tell a story about this radical transformation. And it's not that I'm lying. These are true stories, right? These are actual stories of actual customers who experienced a transformation in how they, identified and hired talent. But the more intense the transformation, the more compelling the sales pitch is to the person that's hearing.
Absolutely.
And so look, like, I'm all for making the gospel as attractive as possible. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it is a tactic, and it's an intentional choice of a tactic. Yeah. And I agree with you that you really just don't see this tactic used in the Bible. There's other tactics that are used, but you don't really see this one too much,
Yeah.
And I'll say something else too. Another thing that I thought of when I saw this whole thing, I saw a number of people defending this and saying, well, like her story is going to, really speak to certain people that are in that right now, or maybe they've been there and stuff like that. And I mean, maybe that's true. I'm not going to deny that because, I think, alcoholics probably, if they hear from someone who used to be an alcoholic and isn't anymore, like that might be more meaningful than someone like me who's never been an alcoholic. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to deny that, but I do think like even there's got to be some discretion. Like I could easily see this woman, maybe counseling someone younger in the faith that's kind of struggling with all these issues currently, and that being very effective. One-on-one or in the church. I could see that being extremely effective. But even then, like there's got to be some discretion about how you go about it. I really do think that this is a let me tell you a little story. So there's a church I know of, and I can't tell you how I know of this church, but they had a woman doing the announcements in the beginning before the service started. She would do the announcements, right? And the person that I know this from was very against it, and elders didn't understand why, and they just kept having her do it. Turns out one time she announced something that made a lot of people really mad at the church. And so who got the emails? Did the elders get the emails? No, this woman did. She became the lightning rod for all the people that had frustrations with what she announced. And they were just, ripping her for this, that she didn't even have anything to do with. She was just the spokesperson, essentially. And the person that I know was like, this is exactly why I didn't want her reading the announcements, because she's, you have to protect her. You never know what's the thing that she's going to say that's going to be the thing that causes the firestorm. But because we know that this could potentially happen, you protect her. You don't send your women to war. You go to war. You're the one. Like, listen, like, I know I'm going to get hate for saying this, but women shouldn't be out there doing street evangelism, I don't think, either. Like those are very stressful, tense, potential. There's a lot of potential for, maybe even violence in those situations. Like that's not a job for a woman. You know what I mean? So, I know that people are going to be all upset about that, but it's just true. They shouldn't be out there street preaching or whatever. I mean, obviously most people in this audience would agree she shouldn't be preaching, but like, these are things that aren't jobs for women, and we should be protecting our women instead of putting them in these situations where, I mean, look, I saw a lot of ugliness, talking about this woman that I don't agree with. I mean, a lot of the points I agreed with, but it was pretty ugly. So I didn't like that.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, but this is exactly why she shouldn't be doing this, right? Like she shouldn't have to field that abuse,
Oh, exactly. Like somebody who has, experience, like I look at it, and maybe I look at, even though like, all right, is this a person that has exchanged one form of attention grabbing for another? Yes. Or she and her husband monetizing this? Yes. But I have a lot of sympathy for her. Not empathy, but sympathy for her. And I don't actually don't doubt that she really loves the Lord now. Right. I'm not going to like go there and assume that that's totally fake. At all. I'm not going to do that. But I look at it as a pastor and think if she and her husband were in my church, I would be thinking, what is like, because this is what I think for everybody in the under my care is like, what is the best for this person's faith, right? What do they need? What should they be doing? What shouldn't they be doing? What will harm their faith? What will build them up in the faith? And constantly dredging this out. And even though, you're you appear or certainly believe that you're doing the right thing, that you're taking the horrible stuff that you did and pointing people toward Jesus.
Yeah.
That is not healthy for your soul, right? And so the people in response to all of this are like, well, what about Rahab, right? She was known as a prostitute the entire time after this. And it's like, yeah, but she was also a hero to the Israelites and a highly exalted woman for saving the spies. And she was greatly honored for the things that she did that were good.
Yeah.
And so there was no shame. Plus, I mean, also everything is particular. Everything is contextual. It's like, okay, she's inserted into now a situation where she has a husband in a society where husbands and fathers rule, and where, you know, promiscuity is like forbidden completely. It's forbidden by capital punishment. So that's totally locked down. And so there is great shame for that kind of behavior, but she truly is liberated from it. Like, that's the point that I think about here, is there actually really is no shame for any of this. Like, the only like place maybe there would be any shame is like in a very tight community and a very tight church where some girl goes wayward and then comes back. There would be some shame there, and she would need grace from the Lord to be freed from that shame. But there is no shame here. Like, I didn't grok out all the stats, but our cultural moment is really weird, where we have a certain large percentage of young women that, you know, whore themselves out, and they don't even take money for it. They just do it for free. So I don't know which one's worse. But then you have a very large percentage that are totally asexual, and not for like moral or religious or spiritual reasons. They're so like feminist that they totally eschew men completely, basically. And so you have these, like, it's almost a total constant where there's these two extremes, where you have like a fairly small but nonetheless, you know, significant percentage of women who are hyper sexualized, and then you have a much larger percentage that are like completely asexual, and then you have like maybe a single digit percentage of women that are normal, that want to get married and, you know, have a boyfriend, get married, have kids. So we, like, people are living in both of these extremes, and to a certain extent, both of the far extremes exist within the church, right? There are churches where girls go and sow their wild oats. And there are churches where girls just don't want to get married, would rather just work at a wage slave job until they want to settle down maybe someday. And then all of a sudden they're 35 and it's too late.
I attended a church like that. It was wild.
Yeah. It's extremely common, man. And I've been in churches where like the dads would be like, why aren't any of these young guys marrying our girls? And I'd be like, hey man, all the guys have like asked out all the girls, and they're like, no, we're not interested. And it wasn't that like the guys were, you know, big fat slobs and ugly and just playing video games all day. Like, they're dudes with jobs. They were, you know, decent looking guys, and they're just not interested at all. And so, and it's like, those are the social conditions that exist today. And within that, even within the church, right? If you are like, hey, a woman that is promiscuous, that is very bad. Like, young ladies, do not go down that road. Do not And it's the easiest thing in the world to do, because you might notice when you are, a teenager and you start to go through puberty and things like that, that boys give you attention just because you're a girl. And there's certain things you can do to get a lot more attention from guys, but don't do that. That's bad. And like, that's not a thing that's like ever preached at all. It's like, well, if you do happen to, do that, well, then there's grace. Jesus wants the rose. Like I remember that Matt Chandler sermon, that seeing that like when it was like 10 years ago, maybe, that it came out. Probably the entire time. I'm thinking like, you're telling every young girl in your church that you can go whore yourself out, and I'm going to tell, and then come back like the prodigal son, and I'm going to tell all the young men they have to marry you. Right. That's what you're telling all these young girls. And so you're incentivizing for them to go behave in this way. Right. Nobody uses like the parable of the prodigal son in that way. Right. It's shameful, his behavior, how he renounces. He tells his father he wishes he's dead. And then he goes and spends all his money on prostitutes. And it's like, the father welcomes us back, and it's not an incentive to go do that. That's not the point of the parable at all. But it kind of is a subtle point when you make a feminine version of that parable. And so I just think about it as a dad of daughters. Don't you ever use the phrase girl dad? But as a dad of daughters, man, is like, I don't want my daughters to ever think that that's a good thing. Like I want them to get married. I want them to have good husbands and a happy home, and to have, lots of children and a good life. I don't want any of that for my daughter. Yeah. And all this does is it like forms thread there. It incentivizes this bad behavior, and it tells these young girls, go do it.
At the very least, it softens the weight of it. So in other words, that's the other thing I thought about. So the first thing I thought about was, why is this dude saying this about his wife? Like, this is not right. Then the second thing that I started thinking of was, like, it boggles my mind sometimes that all of these situations, whenever they come out, like you said, it happened before, it'll happen again. People are going to bring this up. They make it seem like a woman's sexual past almost should have no bearing on whether you consider her for a wife or not. Like it has no value almost. That's the impression I get from these posts. And I don't think that if you ask these guys,
not even that it has no value, but just look at what the guy's original post said, is that she's more pure than most virgins. Right. He's saying that it has like positive value.
Right. That's exactly right. So it's almost like he's got and the evidence is the radical change, basically. That's like the evidence that she's more pure, right? Because obviously,
Form's point,
which is the exact point, right? So in other words, obviously, when you're just thinking about it, just off the cuff, out of the debate, who's more pure, a virgin or a woman who's slept with 100 guys? Well, the answer is obvious, right? But because he's saying this is actually more pure, he has to be basing that on something. And so it's got to be this radical transformation or whatever it is that, however you want to describe it. And see, that's the part where that loses me as well, because I don't know this woman. So maybe she's a great Christian and very pure and all this stuff. I'm not denying that, at all. So I'm not going to say anything about it. But to pretend like that data point doesn't have any bearing, and if anything, it has a positive bearing, it's just beyond comprehension that anyone could think that. It's a data point, and it's a major data point. And choosing who to make your wife is an important decision, and it's a life-changing decision. So you have to use those data points when you're deciding. I'm not saying that means that all women who have slept with 100 guys are well, maybe 100, I don't know. But like a lot of guys are off the table, off limits. But it's definitely something you need to think through very carefully. And it's not just one data point among many, and you just kind of pick and choose. No, it's like a major one, though. And we've known this like, throughout history.
Oh, what are her favorite movies? I don't know if we're going to enjoy the same entertainment, or whatever.
Right. Like it's not like a small one. It's a major one. And every, like throughout history, everyone has known that this is a major data point.
Yeah.
It's not the end all be all, but it's pretty big.
Yeah. Like this one here, like, so forms, the prodigal son doesn't get any more inheritance after he blows it. That's exactly right. I mean, we're not told. I mean, he goes back to live in his father's house and everything like that. But yeah, like it's gone. Right. There's no going getting it back. Right.
Right.
And it's like, that's it. And so like there are temporal consequences for sin. This one here too from Grey Dog. If there are no temporal effects of promiscuity or benefits to virginity, then God's law is arbitrary. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Very good point. That's a very good point. And that's the thing. I think there's so much temptation for people to look at God's law as arbitrary, and it can't be arbitrary. It's not just that God set up these rules just because he wanted to laugh at people going through these rules. No, he set up these rules to be in line with how he created. He created a certain way, and these laws and these rules are in perfect alignment with that. So it's never arbitrary. This comes up a lot with women preaching thing. It's like, it's not that he just decided, women aren't going to preach. Yeah. It's because he designed women a certain way and he designed men a certain way. And so it's not arbitrary. Allie Beth Stuckey was saying like, oh, I could preach better than most men. No, you can't.
You're not a man.
Can't, because you're not a man. Can't. You just can't.
Yeah. Like, and that tells you like, something about people's view of what preaching is as well. That's exactly right. Speaking words. When it's like, no, you're dispensing the oracles of God, right? You are representing God himself when you are preaching. And so it is no light thing. It isn't just talking like on a podcast like we are right now, right? Is she better at podcasting than I am? Well, several million suburban moms apparently think so. But is she better at preaching than me? I could be the worst preacher on earth. And the answer is no, she's not, because she is not able to preach at all because God has said it's only for men, right? Yeah. Period. Like, and it's not arbitrary, right? Why does he choose to say only men can do this? Because, men are so much better and they're smarter and they're stronger and they're better at everything than women. No, that's not the reason why, right? The reason why is that men are chosen to lead, right? Yeah. That's why. That's how he created the world, right? That men have the responsibility and the duty to lead. That they have the responsibility and duty to die for their people, for their wives, for their children. That's why, right? It's why he created Adam first. And it's like, again, like, Truttle's point here, these debates are all just grace does not destroy nature, always has been. Like that's exactly what it is. I mean, that's what that's what the women preaching debate is. That is what the reformed prostitute versus virgin debate is, and like that's what any debates about should a nation have borders or not. That's what that debate is. Like all of these things are like God made the world a certain way. Most human beings throughout all of history understood the way that he made the world work and didn't even have to think about it. And we live in such an insane world that we think we can get away with doing everything completely, backwards, and we'll just get away with it and it'll work just fine. And so,
it's wild to me. Like it's these data points that you get about women when you're considering, whether to marry them or to even date them. Like, they're all like, there's so many meaningful things that I just feel like certain Christians online just want to play dumb about like that. This whole situation reminded me of that video with a redhead Mormon who talked about how much she loved travel and all this stuff, and nobody wanted to date her, right? Like nobody wanted to get to know her. And there was a big firestorm about that one, and people didn't get that. Yeah. Now, this I will admit, her situation is less of a red flag than promiscuity. Yeah. Promiscuity is obviously much more intense, but that's a legitimate red flag too. You know, I remember when I was in the dating pool before I was a Christian, even then I knew that was a red flag. And it has to do with just sort of this personality that always wants to try something new, always wants to, taste something new. They want to, have new experiences all the time. Like that doesn't sound that appealing to me for a life partner, for a wife, someone that needs to be my helper. Like that's not a good sign, right? Now, I admit that's not as hard and fast as promiscuity versus virginity, but it's the same kind of thing. Like a lot of evangelicals try to play dumb there. It's like, no, I understand exactly why they're not interested. It makes perfect sense. Like you don't want your wife, your future wife to be of the personality that always needs to have something new. Like that's not, that doesn't sound too safe to me. That doesn't sound restful to me. Like that doesn't sound like someone that I want to, dedicate my life to. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to do that.
Exactly. I remember that video, man. Like, and the first time it like started to make the rounds, everything was about like her looks or whatever. But apparently, then I later discovered that that like it was totally blind. Right there, like sitting in a different room, listening to the audio, and making decisions based on that or whatever. Because, like, she wasn't like bad looking or anything, and so
she was dressed weird, but she wasn't a bad looking girl.
Yeah, like she was dressed like a grandma or something, like how all these Zoomer girls dress, like the baggy pants and stuff. But like, I saw that too, and I thought like immediately. My brain like rushed to those like two categories for like young girls now, where it's like small percentage, hypersexual, whore themselves out, like the kind of girls you see on the whatever podcast that Sovereign Broad debates with or whatever. So OnlyFans type girls, and then the other segment, much larger segment, which is like basically asexual and just want to experience fun things, travel. I like to travel. I like to see things like that have no interest in like a healthy sexuality whatsoever, right? And I think that's part of it is like the and you see it in the church too. And like evangelicals freak out about those purity culture. It's purity culture that causes. I don't think it is actually.
No.
It's that. I mean, maybe in part, but I think it's external cultural things that have happened since then. It's like Me Too, hyper woke, feminist stuff that has driven a lot of it, and also this kind of like failure to launch into womanhood. That. And part of it is just like basic economics and that are filtered through the mechanisms of civil rights legislation, HR law that has gone to seed since like 2015, which is like we're just not going to hire white men anymore. Like men are bad, especially white men are bad. And so we want to have more diversity, which means hiring women and non-white men. And so as a result, women get more high paying, like white collar jobs. So they, even like right out of college, right, they're making pretty good money. And one of the things historically that incentivized marriage is there's weren't any jobs for women to make money. And so if you wanted to have a good life, you had to get married. And that's for most of history, that's what it was. Right. But now it's like, well, I don't really need a man. Right. It's like Gloria Steinem's, paradise. Right. It's like they're all fish without bicycles. Right. And so right? Then they have a large amount of discretionary income to like go have coffee and take, photos on Instagram of the little latte art all the time and check out what foreign country I'm visiting now. Like, so I saw that girl and I thought, oh, that's what she is. She's like one of those girls.
Yeah.
And so any guy hearing that hears that same thing too, which is, well, this is not a girl that's going to be like actually interested in me. It's going to be someone that just wants like a travel buddy, right? Just wants a roommate that's fun.
She literally said that's what she wanted, a travel buddy.
Yeah. And it's like, well, no, I'm not. I want a wife, man. I don't want a travel buddy.
Right.
And so, yeah, like, so that's like the state of things. And so it's interesting, right? You see these pastors, pontificating about this stuff. And I think about it because it wasn't that long ago. I was once a young man, and I had no idea how good I had it 20 years ago, where it's like, if I wanted to go on a date, I could just like walk up to a girl and talk to her and like flirt with her a little bit, and you find out if she's interested or not. And now it's like you talk to young guys and they're like, oh yeah, you can't do that. Like, what do you mean? Like they won't talk to you. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they will not talk to you. And so I like in talking to like Zoomer guys about, courtship rituals, or lack thereof today. Like, I literally felt like a boomer telling when I was a young man, and this is kind of your ballpark, right? Like, just go up to the manager and give him a firm handshake, and then bam, you're gonna have a nice middle class job and a house and a wife and 3.2 kids, and like that's what it felt like talking to them. Like, why didn't you just talk to them, right? And like all they could do is say no, and it's like, no, they could do way worse than that, man. Like, they can record you and then upload it to the internet and then make you famous in all the wrong ways. Like there was the post a couple weeks ago, maybe it's months ago. It doesn't exist online, but a while back, not too long ago, there was a post from some girl who was like, I went to mass this morning. She's a Catholic girl. Went to mass this morning. This guy asked me for my number. And like, there's this huge freak out over that. Like, church isn't for dating. And it's like, yeah, actually, no, it's not, but not for the reason you think. Like,
right.
You're going to get that. The reason it's not is because it's like full of girls like that, or girls like the Mormon girl who wants to just, go surfing or something. Like, that's why it's not. And like, ordinarily that was the case. It's like, I met my wife in Campus Crusade, and at the time, like, a non-negligible number of people, both, male and female, attended the meetings because, well, there were people there, and there were nice people there. There were nice girls there. There were nice guys there. And a lot of people there met their spouses in that ministry. And it's like, yeah, that's like what happened. And it was good. And I'm like, does that even happen anymore? Does that happen at all? Probably not. Not nearly to the same degree. And a lot of it, I think, is because like the model of how males and females interact with each other is so messed up and so skewed that like, I remember in college, in like Campus Crusade, there was a significant number of girls that like went to college almost explicitly to get an MRS degree, right? So like I'm just here to find a husband, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care if I get a career or not. I'm gonna get married. That, like, all but stated out loud, right? And now that's not the case at all. It's like, I'm getting a career. I can't trust no man. I need to be making some money. And that has been a disaster. Right. I mean, like, right here from Matthew G. Like, yes, meeting a good spouse is 100% about where you look for a spouse. That's like, it's true. It's like, yeah, if you're going to spring break to try to find a wife, good luck, buddy. Right. This is an interesting comment. The campus ministry I was a part of blew up because the girls hated the guys. Joey, how old are you? I'm just curious. Are you old like me, or are you a Zoomer?
See if you I don't know. I get, I don't talk to too many Zoomers, but I'll just say this, like
I got a haircut, man. 29. Okay, so that's 29 is Zoomer. That's a Zoomer, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think so. You're a Zoomer, Joey. Yeah, you're an old Zoomer, but yeah. I'm not.
I get the impression that things are way different than they used to be. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, dude. Like, and so, like, the young men, Zennial, like the young men are caught, like they have the Scylla and Charybdis. Am I pronouncing the Greek right there from the Odyssey? Are you gonna go see the Odyssey movie? By the way, I saw the preview for it.
I didn't even know it was out. So you're telling me now
it's not out till like July, I think. But I don't know if I want to see another epic movie ruined by Zendaya. But I mean, the Dune Part 3 trailer actually looked pretty good still. So I'm like, total hypocrite. I'm gonna go see all of them. CJ's not here. He'd be laughing. He's like, you're gonna go see every movie you say you're not gonna go see. But anyway, Scylla and Charybdis. Right, you got the Scylla of the promiscuous girls, and then you have the Charybdis of like the totally asexual ones. And you gotta chart a very careful path between those two, and they are out there, like they do exist actually. But it is it's difficult. Like, I mean, you have to be like in a really good church, and even that's often not enough. Like you have to be in a good church where fathers are like, raising their daughters to want to be married, to see that as a good life. And I mean, because I've seen like conservative reformed churches, won't say which denomination, but it's a very conservative one, where there are young guys that are like trying to, date the, eligible women there. And they're all like, oh, I got to finish college first and, have my degree so I can have a career. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, you have a good job. You can have a family now. Why would you care?
It's wild. Whenever I hear of a young woman that's like wanting to get married, before college, or like you said, only going to college just to get married, I'm always surprised and impressed. Like, it's like the total exception to the rule. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's very rare.
Yeah. And so it's like, I don't know. I mean, but that's the thing. It's like transgressive to say that. It's like transgressive for me to say, man, you've only got sons, right? You don't have a daughter.
No.
Only boys. Okay. It's transgressive for me to say, like, yeah, I want my daughters to get married. Like, and like going, like a lot of guys in our, this thing of ours are like, oh, my daughter's never going to college. My daughter's never going to college. And I respect that or whatever. But like, college is a great place for your daughter to meet men that are going to have the income level to support a family. And there are good colleges out there where they could pursue that MRS degree. Right. And so like, that's what I want. I want my daughters to get married and want to be married, want to be moms. And that's like transgressive to say. Like, it's crazy. Like, if I say, hey, if my daughter at 17 meets the right guy, I would sign the, waiver or whatever, the license, the, whatever you got to sign to allow her to get married. People will lose their minds.
Oh yeah.
They will lose their minds with that. But if I said, hey, I gotta stop at Walgreens and get my daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, her birth control. they wouldn't bat an eye. They'd be like, oh yeah, girl, yes, yeah, I guess she's that age, isn't she? Yeah. So like they don't care at all if she's like totally sexually active at 17. But if she got married and had kids, oh my goodness, her life is over.
Yeah.
Why could you ever want her to do that? It's like it's crazy how that's transgressive when for all of human history, that's the norm. That's like totally like my grandma, my dad's mom, got married at 16. Right.
You saw what I'm laughing at.
That's a good one. But my grandma got married at 16, and like that was normal in the 1930s when she got married. And now it's like if a 16-year-old got married, like you would probably be like front page news throughout the country, right? Like especially like if you're someone that is even the tiniest bit like notable, right? If my daughter, like maybe we'll test that theory in about 5 or 10 years. But like I'm pretty sure if my 16-year-old daughter got married, I would be on at least the New York Post. Right. Maybe not the Times, the Post. I'd be on the Post, for sure. But yeah, it's nuts how backwards things are that we have such disdain for marriage and family. And even like even the idea of like, because people freak out if you say like, I don't want my daughter. I'm okay with my daughters going to college. Possibly. But if you say that, like, I don't want my daughters to go to college, I want them to get married. Like people will freak out. They'll be like, you are some kind of tyrant. That's parental abuse. They'll use therapeutic language. And it's like, well, dude, women are the only ones that can have babies. That's a biological fact. Women are the only ones that can have babies. And so if you go and you take them and they can only have babies for like really like 10 or 15 years, right? 10 or 15 years. And then that's it. That's that small little window that they can make new human beings. And we decided as a society, we're going to have them do anything else other than that during that period that they could do that. And the crazy people are the ones that say, hey, maybe we should like actually prioritize that window, having babies and making, new people. That's nuts. I want to respond to this. Yeah. Like, I mean, it depends on what college, Quasar 13. It very much depends on what college. So like, am I gonna send my daughters to the, University of Tennessee? It's not too far away. Am I gonna send them to an SEC school? No way. No. Well, would I send them to like New St. Andrews or Hillsdale or something like that? Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. No, I think, of course it makes a difference, but I understand, like you said, I understand the impulse. My brother has daughters and all like the same age as my kids. And he's thinking through these things for sure. I mean, he was, he had his little daughter in T-ball and then decided to take her out of sports altogether because he's like, I don't want any confusion here with her. Like I'm going to put her in singing or, whatever it is, ballet or, I don't even know what she's doing, but like, I'm going to I just don't want any confusion. Like there's just so much confusion right now. I don't want her to, think that she's going to be like this great, WNBA player or anything like that. Like it's not going to, it's not even going to be an option. You know what I mean? Right. So I get that stuff, man. Now this one too, like the other thing about this, not to change the subject, it's sort of the same subject, but Truddle here, this whole virginity debate and all this, what about these people that are calling Mary a baby mama?
Oh yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing here? I just don't understand.
It's blasphemous stuff, right?
It's borderline blasphemy. There's like there's no reverence, and then all and all in service of what? Yeah, of pretending like you know, a woman having children prior to you is not a data point you should consider. You should really be looking at other things. Like what? Yeah. It boggles the mind that this would be the thing that you pull out the blasphemy for.
Yeah, it's not. It's not like it's like I like that you phrase it in that way, that it's like a data point, right? Because like there are various kinds of single moms, right?
Of course.
Right. And they want to flatten that out completely too. Right. So they want like the single mom who's got like 3 kids from at least 2 different baby daddies, right, to be on par with like a widow who's 27, whose husband died of cancer. Right. That those are they're both single moms. And it's like, no, actually this woman is totally godly. But even so, like she's 27, and what's Paul, like Paul says, like young widows, what should you do? You should get married. That's what you should do. And so she's going to be obedient to the Lord and do that. And so that would be one where it's like, okay, you got an eligible guy around the same age. He's never been married, right? He still has to weigh, hey, I'm going to be raising somebody else's kids here. There's going to be challenges there. There's going to be difficulties there, but you weigh it and you say, okay, this is worth it, right? She's a good woman, whatever. Right?
Yeah. Or maybe it isn't. And like, this is the thing. Like it's as if like it's no consideration. Let me say something else too. This does damage both ways, in my opinion. So there's someone close to me. Obviously can't tell you who it is for obvious reasons, but single mother, you know, very good woman, single mother. Her situation is, you know, look, it's not all the other person's fault, but you know, it's a unavoidable situation. Let's just put it that way.
That's right. Yeah. Many such cases.
I remember her getting really mad at me because I told her, you need to be very careful when you're out there looking for a husband, because there are a certain subsection of guys that look for this exact situation, and they're dangerous guys, and they're, you know, you got to be so careful, you know. And she got really mad at me at first because it was almost like, what are you saying? I'm damaged goods. Like, you know, like that was the reaction. And it was a very kind of heated conversation. 2 days later, I get a phone call and it was like, so sorry for that. You're right. And I was just feeling defensive and emotional, but you're right. And I really appreciate you telling me that. Nobody's ever told me that. Nobody has ever said that. And so like, when you pretend like this is like, if it is a data point, it's a very minor one. You're actually putting people in a lot of jeopardy, both ways, the guys and the women. You know, because it's a major data point, and it's not the end all be all. There could be other circumstances you consider. It could be all kinds of things. And you're right. They want to flatten it out to make it all the same, like peanut butter. It's not that way. It's like, they want you to be stupid with the way they talk. They want you to not use your brain. Like you have to use your brain. And you're putting, when you make it seem like not that big a deal, you know, God saves people, you know, you do believe the gospel or not. Like, it's just like, so like just blasé, just throw it out there. It's either the gospel or no gospel. You put people in actual jeopardy. I mean, even the women. Yeah. Even the women.
Yeah. Yeah. No, in both cases, like, you're totally there. There are so many like bad men out there. That
there are bad men out there
for women who are very vulnerable and take advantage of them.
And the women feel desperate. They feel vulnerable. They feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's like, okay, like no one's like looking out for them either. And it is such a, and it's one of the things I thought about with all of this is like, what, these guys are not stupid, right? Not all of them. Oh, some of them are, but not all of them are stupid. Not all of them have like no wisdom at all. or can't like just see reality, right? For what it is. A lot of this is cowardice, right? A lot of it is that like they have, I mean, because again, like look who the market for this stuff is. It's like women that are hyper sentimental, that love these like real like sob stories and like eat them up. That look, this woman was into all of this, was doing, you know, online pornography and all, and the Lord redeemed her out of it. Isn't that a wonderful story? And like they eat that up, and the men, the pastors, the dads, the elders and leaders of the church, they can't say, well, let's back up a little. Like, it is a wonderful story. It is wonderful that the Lord redeemed this woman. That is true. 100%. We want people to be saved. Absolutely. But we also don't want our young women to think, hey, I can go slut it up for a decade and then come back, and the church not only will receive me as if I had never left, but they'll treat me like a superstar, and I will be put up on this huge pedestal. And like maybe exalting this in the way that we have provides a bad incentive for our young women that we desperately want to remain chaste. Yeah. And if you say that, you are a bad person. You're a misogynist. You hate women. You probably have all sorts of perverse problems, and you're just a total degenerate yourself. And like that's the stuff that's getting like thrown around at guys that are like having an issue with this. And
we've got Trudle here too. Not to. But Joseph 100% did consider that data point, and it took an angelic intervention for him to back off.
Yeah. No, exactly. He was going to put it, and like, why was he a godly man, a righteous man?
Exactly.
Because he was going to put her away quietly. He was going to do what? He was going to preserve her dignity.
Exactly. He knew what it meant, and he's like, we need to have some discretion about this. I don't want to blow up her spot. Like, and he was going to do it quietly.
Yeah, he was like, we're going to have her go away for a while, and she'll have the baby. People don't need to know about it. And I'm not going to publicly shame her. Right.
Exactly.
But it's like an angel had to tell him, hey, don't worry about it. Like, she actually didn't cuckold you. The Lord put a baby in her. That's what happened. Right. And so, right. Yeah. Great. Like these
great observation.
I mean, Joseph would be sinning for putting Mary away quietly. Right. And because like,
yes,
the Bible is saying he was righteous for doing that.
Right.
For saying, no, I'm not going to raise some other man's child, because that's what his impression was. This is another guy's child. That's obviously what anyone else would conclude in that situation without direct revelation from God. And it's like, that's the respectable, godly, dignified thing to do.
And this is the part that boggles my mind, Andrew. It's like the point of that story wasn't that it's totally fine, just go ahead and marry her. Like it's no problem. Look, the angel recognizes that, this is an issue unless I come in and fill him in on what's going on here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's obviously an issue. And so, again, does it mean that, like, you know, Mary was an evil woman and, you know, and all this stuff and promiscuous? Like, nobody's saying any of that stuff. What we're just saying is that this is actually a legitimate thing to consider. And it was righteous of him I'm going to put her away quietly, not gonna, you know, rub her nose in it or anything like that. Like all of that, like it has this story has everything. It has the discretion. It has the righteousness of the situation. It has it all. And this is what boggles my mind. Like, part of it, I think, honestly, Andrew, is some of the guys that were promoting this and stuff like that. I just honestly think that they just will use anything, no matter how stupid it is, because their online enemies are saying the opposite.
Yeah.
So they're just going to promote. And that's the thing that's kind of gross about it, because like, look, like this guy with his wife, like that's his wife. Like he shouldn't be doing that about his wife's story. He should be, but that's one thing. But then the pastors that are not protecting this woman, don't make like, it boggles the mind, Andrew. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, it is. And it just reveals so much of like the dark underbelly of the way things are today. I mean, in both cases, whether it is
just a tight spot.
Whether it is just like patriarchal Christian nationalist derangement syndrome, if that's what's driving it, or if it's like this is what they genuinely think. Either way,
genuinely think it. Don't get me wrong, but
that's
why they say weird things like the Joseph thing, the baby mama thing, like that makes no sense. So there's got to be something else there. You know what I mean?
And it's like sick to say that. I actually I got mad when I read that. I get angry about it.
Me too.
Because like this is like the mother of the Lord did nothing wrong whatsoever. And you're comparing her to women that have sex outside of marriage, that you know, to use the biblical term, play the harlot. You're comparing her to them, which is what the opponents of Christ claimed to blaspheme him, right? They said that he is illegitimately born, right? That's what they claimed with him. And you're kind of sort of saying the same thing by making the equivalence between a mother of bastards and the mother of the Lord. And it's like, yes, I mean, things happen. People make mistakes. They mess up. There's grace that God gives, but you just cannot go there. And so the compulsion to do this is so obvious that like you're driven to be this white knight. Like, I'm going to ride in and save these women who are being attacked by these horrible patriarchalist, misogynist men. And it's like, no, like I want, you know, women who have sinned to have grace. I want the church to show grace to them. I want the church to show grace to men who have sinned, to everyone who has sinned, and to aid them in their repentance. And that's the other thing is like the attacks were like, so you're denying the saving power of the gospel then.
That's insane.
It's like, no one is. Not a single person is like, I mean, maybe there was somebody, you know, freaking out.
I'm sure there were some. I mean, I saw a lot of hate. I mean, let's just be honest.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of like nasty things said. But like no one like of any like level of prominence or anything, you know, that's a pastor or someone that's known is saying, well, this woman is just a slut. You know, she's just a whore. And we don't want women like that in our churches. It's like, no, like if she and her husband came to my church, we would love them. You know, we would show them kindness and we would seek to bless them.
I want formerly promiscuous, you know, women who've repented. I want them to be married too. I'm not saying they shouldn't be married, and I want them to find good husbands. I'm not saying anything like that. All I'm saying is that this shouldn't be presented as if it's nothing, or it, like you said, or even positive, because it isn't. It's not. It's not nothing, and it's definitely not positive. Now, again, it doesn't mean it's the end of the discussion. Doesn't mean that that's over for them. It doesn't mean that, but it's all about the incentives. You were talking about this at the very beginning.
Yeah,
like this should not be put in this position where, at the very least, it's like downplayed or even incentivized.
That's right.
Because the way the original post was, it almost did feel like, wow, like this is even ideal. You know what I mean? And it's obviously not. I don't think she would think that either. I mean, I'm sure that she has dealt with a lot of shame about that. I'm assuming that all this is real, and it's all like, I don't think she would put it that way. But we shouldn't also, like, if we're going to talk about it, like, you got to be careful how you talk about it too. I sometimes do this in my own testimony, even when I'm talking to someone one-on-one, right? Like, even one-on-one, I try to be careful about talking about what I used to do back then, because I don't want to glamorize it, and I don't like talking about it, and I don't want to make it seem like I've lived this like great life, because it wasn't great. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't great. And, you know, maybe I could use that to my advantage, you know, helping someone who's going through similar things as what I used to do. But it's not something to pretend like it makes me like almost like an Uber Christian, because my life is so different. Yeah. Like it doesn't. Like I would much have preferred to not have done those things. You know what I mean? And I want my kids to be much more boring than I was, and all of this stuff. Yeah. That's all it is. And so when you present it the way it was presented and the way it was defended, even, that's where the insane part, you know, it just boggles everyone's mind. That's why I think that's where a lot of the vitriol comes from too. I don't think that a lot of the vitriolic responses were because, oh, wow, like, she used to be a whore, so then I guess she can't get married ever, and she just must live alone. Like, I don't think anyone would think that or say that. I mean, maybe somebody, like you said, like, there's probably some crazies out there, right? But like some people, but that's not what I want. Like, anyway, I think you get it.
Yeah. We should move. I mean, I think we've beaten this horse to death. Although something else is probably going to happen. By the way, the tennis ball. Yeah, that's not an onion. Yeah, not an onion in your hand. Although, you know, maybe you're gonna cook soon. I don't know. But the other topic I wanted to talk about was the story of Noelia. I think I pronounced it Noelia Ramos.
Spain.
In Spain, where, I mean, this is a brutal, horrific story. Like, we were talking beforehand briefly. Like, this is the kind of story that, like, if you were making like a movie in the 90s and you're writing a screenplay for a movie in the 90s about, you know, a cyber dystopia 30 years in the future, and you describe, you know, what happened to her in the plot, like, it would be rejected as totally unbelievable. Like movies like, I'm thinking like it was 2000, like Gattaca, or movies like that, right? These dystopian movies. They'd be like, nah, that's just beyond that's too Kafka-esque. Like, that would never, we can't make a movie about that. But yeah, I mean, so apparently, like, she's 13 years old. Her parents get divorced. I think they're both, you know, in dire poverty, or there's, you know, some kind of issues. Their state takes custody of her, and she's placed in like a youth center, which right there is already, you know, sounds horrific. So this is like 12 years ago, like 2014. So living in a youth center as a teenager with, you know, men and women, or young men and young women, teenage kids together. And apparently there's a whole bunch of migrants there, you know, teenage boys from who knows where, third world countries. And they gang rape her, and she already has, you know, severe mental issues even before this. Probably, you know, the trauma of your parents getting divorced and now living in this like hellhole state custody situation. Like, that couldn't be good for a young girl, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. So this obviously exacerbates her severe, you know, mental and emotional issues that she has. And later she attempts suicide. She tries to jump off a building and is paralyzed as a result. She's unsuccessful. And so the state says, well, we have a solution. How about we just do some MAID? And so she says, great. Yeah, I want to do that. But then her family tries to intervene, and she reportedly begins to have second thoughts about it. And the hospital performing the MAID operation, because she had signed up to be an organ donor, has already put out millions of dollars worth of contracts for her organs. and they would not let her renege on that contract because of the profits that they would gain for harvesting her organs. And so yesterday, today's Friday, the 27th, yesterday, the 26th, was her last day on Earth. And the government of Spain killed her. And, with, I guess, her consent. And so it's a situation where, and the criminals who sexually violated her faced no charges whatsoever. So it's a case where a young girl is gang raped. Her rapists do not get any consequences for it at all, except to, and in fact, almost certainly they are living the high life in, Madrid or Seville or somewhere, enjoying the niceties of the country of Spain at the expense of the Spanish taxpayer. So they are rewarded for what they've done. And she is put to death, right? The victim is put to death. It's like, it is beyond comprehension how evil this is, how we see stories in the United States that are, somewhat similar. Like there was the one, I believe it was in New York City, where the migrant kicked an old man down into the subway, I think, and he died recently. And that guy already has been released from jail multiple times. Will probably get off on this as well. Like we constantly do this stuff, or not we, but the people who rule over us. Right, these savages kill people. They rape people. They drunk drive their cars 100 miles an hour and kill people. And they face no consequences. But if you kill a seagull, you go to jail for 8 months. If you're a white man, or if like the girl in Kentucky who had a mental breakdown and freaked out and said the N-word 200 times. She's in jail right now for that. But if she were, a 73 IQ black man, which is another story, right? He does not have to face trial for a murder that he did, because he's not mentally competent to stand trial. Right. And so it's like, the it's beyond anarcho-tyranny. Anarcho-tyranny doesn't describe this stuff. It is just, it's insane. And if I were to randomly talk to, any person and describe, the Noelia Ramos situation or any of these crimes by migrants or illegal immigrants or whomever, or the criminal underclass in America, and tell them this is what happens all the time, they would think that I'm insane. They would think that I'm some kind of extremist or something. And it's no, these are just these are headlines you can read today in any newspaper. It's and it's something where it's I don't know, I can't do anything about it. Right. Yeah. I there's nothing I could do except for talk about it. There's nothing I could do. There's no person to vote for that's we're just going to execute criminals now and not the victims. We're going to try that out. Right. There's no Bukele to come in and press the fix everything easily button.
Yeah.
And I mean, I also saw the civil suit against Elon Musk in San Francisco, where the judge and the jury are just stacked against him, or I mean, also the Nick Sortor case in Portland, where the jury is just yeah, this guy's totally guilty, but we don't care. We're gonna find him not guilty. Where it's this kind of thing where. Yeah, there's no consequences for certain groups, and every consequence for your group this is the kind of thing that ends in like judges disappearing, and it turning into like the Balkans. Like the one there was one where it was like this judge who threw out the charges against the murder of an 84-year-old. I think it was somewhere in California. And I'm thinking like, man, if that was like my grandpa and like I didn't have a family, I didn't have much going for me in life, and I love my grandpa, and I'm sad that he was killed by this person. There's no consequences for it. Like, that's how you like make vigilantes, man.
Yeah, you know? Of course.
Yeah. Forms. My alt talks about this. Yes, I know. I know that your alt talks about this. But it's like, I don't know. Like if one of my kids was murdered and then the murderer is just let out, doesn't face any consequences. Like, I don't know. Like, what's the name of the dude that he's Gary Plouch, right? He shoots the guy that molested or raped his kid. I don't know, man. I'd probably do stuff like that if that happened. It's in the, like, but it's like I don't want that to happen. I don't want anyone to be in that position. Like, there's the guy in like Arkansas or whatever that's running for sheriff that like, caught the guy raping his daughter and shot him to death. And he's gonna like win. Like the jury there rightfully refused to convict him, and he's gonna like win the sheriff's election in his county. But it's like I actually like don't want that. I don't want that to be the case. I don't like seeing stories like that, because I want to have law and order. I want a justice system where we convict criminals. Like, that's good. It's good to have that. It's not good to have that not happen and then people take things into their own hands. That's bad.
Well, it's totally inverted. I mean, the legal system that you're describing, where you kick the seagull, you go to jail, you say a racial slur, you go to jail, you rape a girl, you might not go to jail, you might not stand trial, you're too dumb to stand trial. Like it's just inverted. It's totally inverted, and that can only hold itself up under its own weight for so long before people start cracking, and you see like the payphone guy. Matthew says, that's the payphone guy. You pretend to be on the payphone, right? Like it's only a matter of time before you start getting that kind of chaos. And I kind of share your thoughts here, Andrew. I was talking to my brother just the other day, and we were discussing this very thing, that there's no voting out of this. Like our system, our democratic republic system, certainly doesn't seem like there's a way out of it that way. And so it certainly seems like it's going to be like a Bukele kind of takeover that would have to happen for something like this to happen. And I think like, look, like our guys get in trouble for calling for that all the time, but it's not that we're calling for it. It's just that that's what's going to happen. Like, we're predicting something like this is going to happen.
It's not like the ideal, right? Someone like Bukele is not ideal. It's not my ideal. I don't want, I like the American system that we have had for hundreds of years, where we have judges, they're accountable, they're appointed by the people we elect, they adjudicate the law, the executive enforces it, and bad people go away, right? I want that. I want that to happen, but that is not what we have anymore. We have a system where bad people get sent back out, and good people, like, man, there's a story. It's like a year or two ago. Again, I can't remember what time on the internet, but this old man in England is like walking down the street, and a leaf blows in his mouth and he spits it out. And a police officer there writes him a ticket for littering because he spit a leaf onto the ground. And it's like, it's like, you had in Rotherham tens of thousands of girls being raped in your city and nothing was done about it. And you're going to charge this guy for spitting out a leaf that blew into his mouth. Like that's like, we talk about our country. It's bad. It is. It's Spain's really bad. But like England maybe is the worst. And I mean, so much of it is this like insane racial ideology where you're supposed to be ashamed to be white. Like, I mean, I talked about it today online where like in my home state, that everybody like wails and gnashes their teeth once a year because, you know, back in 1862, they executed 39 Dakota Indians. And that's all, the only thing that they know about is they did a big mass hanging, 39, just killed them all. And you like talk to people that are like wailing and gnashing their teeth about it. Like, oh, this is so horrible. I can't, it's very shameful. I don't even really want to talk about it. It's so shameful. I'm so ashamed to be from this place where this happened. And I'm like, well, do you know, like, why did they do it exactly? Like, did they just like round up 39 Indian guys and say like, hey, we don't like these Redskins. I'm going to get banned now because I used an NFL football team name. Rest in peace. Commander's such a stupid name. But anyway, they're always the Redskins to me, man. But anyway, they just rounded up these 39 guys because they were like, yeah, we just don't like their kind here. It's like, no, actually, the Sioux, they revolted because the government, go figure, reneged on promises. And so they said, we're going to start killing white people. And they did. They started hacking women and children and old men to death out in their cabins and sod huts. They took away teenage girls and turned them into sex slaves. And then, the U.S. Army came in and they put it down and they rounded up all these guys and they were going to execute 300 of them that were caught in the act. They basically were like, all right, how many of these guys did rape? And it was like all 300. And so, all right, we're going to execute them. And only last second did Lincoln intervene and say, all right, only these 39 that were like caught in the act, basically. Yeah. And they hung them. And it's like, yeah, I think that was probably the right call, actually. Yeah. Right. Yeah, like you should probably execute murderers and rapists. That's what should happen in that situation. And so anyway, like they're deeply ashamed of it, but they have no idea what actually happened. They have no idea that this took place there. And it's like, I went to school in the town in college in the town where it happened. And it was always this big, show because they got to show I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I feel bad about this. I'm good. Anyone who doesn't feel bad about this is not good. They're bad. They're evil. They're racist. And I was like, this was great. This is what should have been done, right? It's not great that it happened. It'd been nice if they didn't rape those girls and kill, all those babies. But because they did, like, there need to be justice. Justice being done is good. And people will freak out on me about that, but I don't care. It's like, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. Yeah. Right. This was good and you're calling it evil. But like everyone is consumed. They're consumed by this idea that we are uniquely evil as a people and we deserve to suffer because of it. And so that's why we need to let out all the criminals to rape and to murder. We need to import as many illegals as we can into the country to do rape and murder and everything else, because we deserve it because we're evil. And it's like I'm done with that, man. I'm through. I don't care anymore about any of those things. I just don't want my kids, my family, my friends, my people I love to suffer because we won't deal with criminals, right? Am I I mean, there's probably a lot of pastors, a lot of evangelical pastors say I'm unregenerate because I hold that view.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. There's definitely there's a lack of will in a lot of evangelical pastors, and I think most of these guys, you get them in a conversation that's unrelated to the current thing or like the trendy thing, and they know exactly what right is and what wrong is. But the minute you put any flesh and blood on it, and it's on CNN or MSNBC, they act like they don't know, because they just don't have the will to actually have a right and wrong that's not defined by the current cultural mood. You know what I mean? That's really what it is for a lot of these guys. They know full well. You get them into I find this oftentimes with certain theological discussions, which we won't get into because that's not really what I want to do. But you get people involved in theological discussions without naming the theology you're debating, and they oftentimes will see it the right way. The minute you say, "Oh, by the way, we're debating baptism or whatever it is," like then all of a sudden they start getting a little crazy, you know. All of a sudden they don't see anything the right way. That's just a stupid example. I love Baptists, but
me too.
But you know what I mean?
I think
that's how it goes a lot with a lot of especially online leadership type in the evangelicals. That's just how it is, sadly. And I think it actually ties in perfectly to the virginity and promiscuity thing. A lot of these guys, they would know full well if, get them in a conversation with their own son about a situation similar, and they'd have all the right things to say. They know exactly what right is. They know what a red flag is. Get them online in front of a lot of women that are all cheering them on. All of a sudden, they don't know what a red flag is. They've never seen one. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like exactly. Like it's also disingenuous, and I don't know. I'm hopeful that a lot of people see it. Like these guys are beclowning themselves for the whole world to see, and it's not going to last forever. Right. The biggest thing is like you
can only deny reality for so long. Reality always wins.
Yeah, and you have like millions of young men, and this is the thing that I've seen for at least a decade, is you have millions and millions of young men who understand that they are getting the short end of the stick in every conceivable way, right? Not just economically, they're being shut out from careers. They're being shut out from like just having a normal life. That the availability of marriageable women is vanishingly small, and they are constantly hated because of their race and their background. So they feel this every single day, and then they see these pastors online repeat these things like, "Oh, you're an incel, right? You're an incel. You're a racist." And it's like, no, actually, like they're not either of those things. They know that they're getting screwed in every single way, and I don't know how it resolves itself, for these young men, right? I don't know what happens. Like something has to give at some point. Like that's the most dangerous thing you can have in the world, is like millions of 20 to 35-year-old young men that have nothing to live for, nothing to work for, no stake in the future of your society. That is a very dangerous place to be. And like the number of young men is growing. It is not shrinking. And it's like, that is a field that is like ripe for the harvest.
Yeah.
That you just, if you just speak about reality, if you just talk about the way things actually are, and you don't care who it's going to upset, then they'll listen to what you have to say. And but these pastors, man, like they will do the exact opposite of that. They will say up is down, left is right, good is bad, on literally everything, not just marry a virgin or a reformed prostitute. It's like oh, like actually, yeah, white people are uniquely evil, and we don't care. Like I saw I'm sure you probably saw like the Samuel Holden video, and there's clips in there that I'd never seen before. And it was like, I didn't even know who these guys were talking. I don't know if they're, LCMS guys or reformed guys or what they were, but they're like, yeah, I don't really care if all of these, or it was like one of was Ligon Duncan, like, actually, what if the mass replacement he doesn't use those terms, but like the mass replacement migration, bringing tens of millions of people in from the third world, is actually how God deals with secularism. And it's like, no, man, it's God's judgment on you and everyone like you. That's what it is.
It's wild. I mean, it's a nice story, but when you read the Bible in its entirety, not just in isolation, different passages and stuff like that, it certainly doesn't seem like that's a blessing on the nation. It seems like it's a judgment on the nation. It seems like it's a curse on the nation.
I don't know. You probably saw the videos of the Hindus dumping milk into the river. Maybe you see that video.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess, Ligon Duncan sees that and he's like, this is wonderful. The nations are coming to us. This is great. And it's like, no, actually, like entire towns in Texas overnight becoming, majority Indian. Like that's not good for Americans, not good for Texans. It's actually not even good for those people either. And it's like, and like all these young guys can see that, like they can see it. They know it's like, man, I just spent $100,000 to get a computer science degree, and every place I want to get a job is not hiring, except they are for H-1Bs, right? They're laying people off left and right, but they're also putting out want ads in Mumbai. And it's like, you see that, and then you hear Ligon Duncan say, no, this is actually God's plan for dealing with secularism. It's good. Or you see these other pastors say that this is great because the Great Commission is going to be fulfilled because the nations are coming to us. It's so wonderful. And so you're a young guy who has a totally uncertain future. And you see that they are hiring guys who can't even do the job, right? They're totally fraudulent degrees. And they'll hire these guys at whatever place you want to work at instead of you, and you're just stuck driving Uber, and that's your life. Deal with it, right? It's probably your own fault because you're such a loser. It's probably your own fault, that like you're just not smart enough, man. Like I think you're just bitter about these things.
Yep.
And it's like these guys and so many of them too, like they see the value of Christianity like at large to civilization, to society. They see the value of it at like the meta level, but then they see Christianity on the ground, and it's like, oh man, I don't want, like, could you imagine? Because I see these guys all the time, right? These guys who like they grew up, they weren't involved in church. Their parents are, not, no religion nons, right? Totally secular, and they go to college, they start reading stuff on the internet, they get a little bit radical, and they're like, oh, actually, like there's a lot of merit to the Bible. I read the Bible, I'm reading some, old theology stuff. There's some merit to this. And then you see Owen Strachan.
Yeah.
Then you see Samuel Say or Gabe Hughes, or like name all these guys. You see Ligon Duncan, you see these people, and you're like, oh, And for every one of these guys that you've heard of on the internet, there's like 100 or 1,000 more that are exactly like them, that parrot all the same talking points, and they're in like local churches. And you're like, I don't even know where to go. Yeah. And part of me is like, man, I don't even care if you go to some like boomer dispy church where they just have a rapture conference every other Saturday. But otherwise, like, they live in reality.
Yeah, that's the key. Yep.
Like go there. Go there, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I remember having a little bit of a mini crisis in faith, because I came to faith. I grew up in a Christian home, so I kind of had a foundation. And then I came to faith later in life as an adult. And, I really quickly got in my hands on like some Rushdoony stuff and some Gary North stuff, which was great. And I remember being angry at the time. Like, I can't believe no one's ever told me this stuff before. Like, the Bible is so much better than I ever thought it was. And
dude, that's my same experience too.
I was angry. And but then I started getting the normal stuff, like the normal Acts 29 type stuff. And I remember thinking, like, man, like, is this like what heretics like feel like? Like, they feel like the Bible's actually addressing all these things that these guys are telling me it really doesn't. And like, I had like a mini crisis there, but luckily I was like, I had found it early enough that, it kind of took hold. But I can easily see that, when you read actual good stuff from older Reformed people, or just people that take it much more seriously, and you compare it to the pop stuff you see online, there's like no comparison at all. It's like, it's like it really does seem like all like bad becomes good. Like you said, the immigration thing with all these illegals, that's good. It's good for the church, and they'll have their verses that'll make it seem like it is, but I can see with my eyes that it's not good. Like, I'm living in reality still. I can see that it's not good. And so you end up getting these feelings like Christianity it really is like just complete blind faith. Like, these things that I know are bad, they're actually good somehow. Like, it doesn't connect to your actual experience. And I just am here to tell you, like, and the whole basis of my YouTube channel started out this way. It's just that you're not crazy. Like, bad things are actually bad, and good things are actually good. And the Bible, if you read it, you can find out more about why that is, and God's kind enough to explain things in certain instances, and give us a lot more detail in certain instances, and you can actually see it, happen in the story of the Bible before, and it's happening again, and you can connect the two, and there's actually a connection there. When God gives you the list of blessings and curses for a nation, surprise, surprise, it ends up what you expect it to be. Like, what know in reality is good for a nation is actually a blessing. What you expect as bad for a nation is actually a curse. I almost got to the point where I was thinking, wow, if God like blesses a nation financially and like with peace, that's almost like a warning sign that you're doing something really bad. Like, you're gonna bad's coming
any minute now,
right. And I could see, like, there is sort of like a kind of a double-edged sword there, because God does say you're going to get too fat and happy, and eventually are going to say, oh, I did it myself, like, yeah, sure. There's a warning there too, but it's not saying that the good things aren't good. They are good. It's just telling you it's just warning you, be careful to remember me, because I'm the one who gave you all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, So we don't have to like pretend. I remember thinking, like, this connects to so many things, Andrew, that really bothered me when I was a Christian. Like, just something as simple as good works. Like, the way some of these kinds of guys talk about good works is as if they're not good, as if that you do too many good works, then you're trying to earn your own salvation. It's like, no. Yeah. Good works are good, even if you're not doing them for pure reasons. They're still good. But I remember
reading, sorry to interrupt you, but I remember reading when I was, I was still kind of just normie evangelical kind of guy, starting to dip my toes into reform stuff. And I would be reading passages in the New Testament about apostasy. right? Like don't apostatize, like all the warnings. And also reading about, Paul saying, talking about obedience, right? In Romans, talking about like his ministry is to bring the nations to obey the gospel. And I was like, whoa. I was told that obedience kind of bad.
Yeah.
That's a bad word.
Almost.
You shouldn't be saying that. And it's like we just talk about grace here. Only grace, only ever grace. We don't talk about obedience. And like, how do you know if you've apostatized? Well, like you're just disobeying God and you don't care. Like you don't feel any urge to repent when you sin. And it was like light bulbs were starting to go off in my head that it's like, oh, I need to, take the faith seriously. Like even like my own story. I remember after my freshman year of college, I had, started going to Campus Crusade and, started to, take faith seriously for the first time on my own, where it's like, it's my own decision. I want to do this. And they said like, read through the New Testament over the summer and start with the Gospel of John. And I remember like, opening up the Gospel of John, and I started to read, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And I like stopped right there. And I remember praying, and I grew up in the church. I always was in the church. And I remember praying, God, just, let me know that this is actually your word, that you spoke this, that this is from you. Like, just make it obvious to me. I remember praying that, and I'm sitting in my parents' living room, and I'm home alone, and it was like a bolt of lightning hit me. Or it was like the scene from, Blues Brothers, where like the light is coming from the stained glass window, and it was like that, right? This is how I remember it. And I just had this overwhelming sense of total and absolute certainty that the Bible is God's word. Yeah. And that God actually spoke these words. And then I read it and I'm like, oh, wow. This is God's word. So I need to live as if this is true. And I need to start obeying God in all these ways I haven't been. And I began doing that. And I remember going back to college and like talking to the leaders, the Campus Crusade leaders, and telling them about this and saying like, yeah, I read the Bible and I was just overcome by this desire to obey God, right? To just, here's what God says to do and to just do it. And they're like, I probably like, don't tell anybody else about this. Like, don't really use that word obedient. That's not, we don't want to be doing that. And I was just like, whoa, but I had this experience though, man. Like, and I want to tell people about it, to help them. And maybe just keep that to yourself. And it was entirely because it was like, I was like, the Holy Spirit was working on me, and boom, just like hit me right in the heart that this is God's word. You need to do what he says. You haven't been doing it, Andrew, for a long time. And now you need to do it because God spoke these words. And so all this stuff that Jesus says to do, you got to start doing. All the stuff that Paul says to do, you got to start doing. And I was like, okay, yeah, God said to do it. I'm going to do it. And I was like, not allowed to say that to anybody. And so that probably set me off on the path that I've gone down, where anytime there is this kind of discussion online or controversies online about obedience and good works and all of that, I'm just like, yeah, we should obey God. We should do what he says. We're not going to do it perfectly. I'm still going to sin. I'm still going to disobey him. But But when I do, I need to repent. I need to ask God to forgive me and to help me to amend my life. And like, you're not allowed to talk about that. You're not allowed to say that. So we wonder why things are the way that they are. We wonder why the church is the state that it's in. And it's like, that's the reason why, because it's forbidden to talk about obeying God. And you're a bad person. Like, oh, you want your daughter, to not go have sex with dozens of men? Like, you're probably a Pharisee, man. That's pretty legalistic, I would say, right? Like, you should just, and like, how's she ever gonna know if her faith is real unless she starts an OnlyFans page, right? Like, how's she gonna know? And like that's the way people talk. I mean, I'm speaking in hyperbole.
Yes, obviously, but that's the impression that's given very often. Yeah, no, and to your point earlier, just to encourage guys that are not in the ideal church situation, I really do believe that it doesn't have to be a perfect church, but people that are living in reality can be key. When I had my mini crisis of faith, partially it was about this very thing, and my pastor set me straight on this about good works and about the danger of actual apostasy and all this stuff. And he was definitely dispensational. He was like a borderline, like Jesus culture type guy, borderline like charismatic. But the dude lives in reality, man. He really does. He is straightforward, and he gives you some straight up answers. And he set me straight on this big time. So like, you just gotta, you gotta find someone that is living in reality. I know that sounds stupid, but it's so true. And I think a lot of the stuff we've been talking about have been pastors pretending like reality isn't reality. The promiscuity stuff, the virginity stuff. These are obvious things for millennia. It's all over the Bible. It's just it's amazing that you could read the same Bible and not come away with the fact that this is important and this is a big red flag and things like that. So anyway, I think we put that one to bed, but I just wanted to give that encouragement. You just don't need to find a perfect theology. It'd be better if you could, but if you can't, find someone living in reality. It's okay to have a distant pastor if he's living in reality,
Yeah, I mean, I know guys, and that's the thing. Like, it's popular right now, and maybe I helped popularize it.
You did.
To like just I did. To like bash dispensationalism and attack these guys. Like, but one of the things that I've consistently said from the beginning, is like these guys still take the Bible seriously,
big time.
Right? Their conclusions, I think, are very wrong, but they treat God's word as if it's God's word. And
day to day, they don't live like it a lot. Like sometimes with the bigger, like moderating the situation type stuff, like the bigger, like war type stuff, they're going to be wrong. But day to day, like in normal life, which is where you spend 90% of your time anyway,
at least,
they don't live like that. They live like regular Christians who believe the right stuff.
Yeah. And like, and so I mean, I have friends that are pastors, that are dispensational. I actually do. And I love them. And I know I'm never going to persuade them to think like I think, and it's okay. But these are guys, like we've been saying repeatedly, these are guys who live in reality. And I would rather go to that guy's church than go to one where every single doctrinal issue, right, he has the absolutely correct answer from my perspective, right? He's got the right view of the sacraments. He's got the right view of worship. He's got the right view of soteriology. Boom, on down the list. He's right about all this stuff. But then he goes and says, actually, like, we should have open borders. You should prefer to marry the promiscuous woman versus the virgin. You shouldn't notice that, jobs are being undercut by H-1Bs and like no. We're not going to talk about any of those things. No. I would prefer, like, if the churches are right next door to each other and it's like, yeah, you know what? He thinks that there's going to be a third temple and the rapture's coming and all this kind of stuff. But he's like, hey, he's a good pastor. And if my son goes to him and says, hey, pastor, there's a couple girls that are interested in me. Which one should I pick? And he'll like just accurately say, like, you got to weigh all these different things and come to the right conclusion and live in reality and say, like, hey, this girl here, good family, been raised right, is, you know, shows every indication, very high character, chaste girl. Like she seems like ideal wife. Like that's the pastor I want for my family, for my children. And so it's not to say, I mean, so many people are in tough spots. Like it is rough out there to find a church and find a good pastor. It's really hard. But it's not impossible. Yeah. It isn't. You can find them. Like I had, I had some friends that were moving to a new state and, they didn't know exactly where to go to church. And, they are Paedo-Baptist like I am. And I was like, you know what? Oh, you're going to live in that town? That's like 15 minutes away from this friend of mine who is rock solid guy, but he's a Baptist. And they were like, all right, we'll go check it out. And that's where they've been going, right? Even though they're like Reformed churches that are just as close, that hold all the doctrine that they do much more similarly, but are just kind of out to lunch. And so like that's going to be the thing I go with every single time is, does the pastor live in reality? Right. This is how we can end the show today. We're not going to get to any baseball talk, and you probably have to get going because the Mets are on. But
no, they're actually not. The one complaint I have about baseball. The one complaint I have about baseball is they don't know how to schedule anything. We're all hyped up, and we get a game on Thursday. A day game, and then today
weekend, they take Fridays off because they expect it to be a rain delay. So they plan out so they can do a doubleheader or fit a game in. Yeah.
Right. But it's annoying. Like I want to watch more games and there's nothing on. And then today there's like 4 games on at night and there's no day games. I don't know. That's the one complaint I have. They get all the scheduling wrong. It's a mess.
Oh, I have several complaints about baseball if you have time. But
but we'll like 10 minutes, maybe 10 minutes.
We'll see. So Forms Respecter, great content. Everyone follow Forms. Right. As long as he doesn't get banned. Is it harder to find a good pastor or a chaste woman to marry?
I don't know, man. I can't. I don't know, man.
Question. That's a tough question. Good pastor son or chaste woman daughter. I would say, I mean, some of it is bound by, like geographical proximity and like where you presently are in terms of like the churches, right? Like if you bought a house, you got a mortgage, you can't really move easily. And the best church is an hour and 45 minutes away. And like everything else is just not very good. Right. That's a tough situation. Whereas, like if you're looking for a gal, you can have a pretty broad network, both online and real life, and people setting
a lot more to work with. There's a lot. It's a numbers game there.
Yeah, like
there's less pastors and churches out there than there are women, so you have to think it might be easier.
But you're much more restricted by geography and because it's like you could find a good pastor to like listen to his sermons when you live 1,000 miles away. I hope people like listening to my sermons, but I don't intend to put them online to replace actual flesh and blood pastors. But like you're not going to be going to that guy's church. But you can find a wife 1,000 miles away. I mean, it's not ideal. It's difficult, like long distance stuff's
Ship
hard.
her over, you know?
Yeah. The guy said Stormy Squad's like, I'm more bullish on pastors than women. No, they're good. There are good women. There are like, that is always the thing. Like these discussions often, especially for young guys that have been burned a lot, it's easy to get jaded. Very easy to get jaded. Even more easy to get jaded than like going to a bad church or having a bad pastor. Where can we listen to Isker's sermons? Well, I put them on Substack periodically. I'm way behind because I've been busy with other stuff. But I'm almost done with Genesis. I've been done with my church on Genesis for a while. We're into Exodus. We're going to do Exodus 14 this week. So I'm posting. I'm on like Genesis 42. We don't like put them live or anything like that. Thanks, Truddle, for the compliment. I think I'm going to have to say it's harder to find a good pastor. Right. I'm gonna land because of the context, because of like you are where you are and it's not easy to move around, even though, we can, in some cases it's easier, but it's like, okay, you got a job, you got a career and boom, you've got to move to Muncie, Indiana. And that's where your job is. Well, now you got to figure out, okay, are there good pastors nearby? Whereas a wife, like you can find a good wife anywhere. Right. And a lot of guys have to look anywhere and everywhere to find them. But as far as my complaints, we can do a Festivus thing here. I've got a lot of problems with Major League Baseball.
Tell me about your problems.
I really don't like the pitch clock. I hate it actually. I really don't like I'm a Luddite when it comes to baseball. I'm not a Luddite like CJ is, but I'm a Luddite when it comes to baseball. But I kind of do like, because I watched a lot of baseball games with Angel Hernandez behind the plate.
He sucks. He's horrible.
He's gone. And what did Major League Baseball do immediately after he retired? They put this gal in behind the plate, and she calls a ball on a pitch as down the middle as I've ever seen a pitch in my entire life.
It was a perfect pitch.
I've attempted to umpire, Little League baseball games before, and it's hard. It is extremely difficult. But come on, what are we doing here? And so anyway, like having the thing where you can appeal. I mean, it's like wasn't that bad. That's insane. But even one where it's like, I think that caught the corner, and you see the one, like you see the chart, and except for the one the gal did, all the ones in spring training are like, man, that barely hit the corner, but it did. And it's like, I like that. They can do that. They should be able to do that. I'm glad that they do it. But a lot of the rules and changes that they've made are in response to, Moneyball gamifying,
of course,
game of baseball. And it's like, all right, if you're going to do that, and because you see the other Moneyball things in other sports, like the fact that in the NBA, it's literally only, look at the shot charts of the entire season for every single team, and it's all 3-point shots and then all right around the basket and nothing in between. Nothing. When 30 years ago it was, much wider distribution. It's like, okay, well then the obvious thing that you need to do is move the 3-point line way back. Like move it back 5, 6, 7 feet. And maybe you make it worth 4 points, right? Something like that. With baseball, like it's like, okay, we got rid of bunting. We now see the value of walks. And now it's just walks, home runs, and strikeouts, like the entire game. And
it's so true.
Small ball return.
I totally, let me just say this, like The Mets are one of those teams. It's walks and home runs. They used to be anyway. I don't know what it's going to be this year.
You gotta be that. That's the game now. Yeah.
Basically, every team is like that, which is why I was so pumped about like the Brewers last year, because they weren't like that as much. They were a normal team, which I think every baseball lover likes it that way. But the casuals, they don't like that. And so you're right. Like they're making the game be basically home run derby, which is why the Yankees are always in the playoffs, because they just play home run derby. I hate that too, man. I do. I think that I agree with you on the pitch clock. I thought I would be more against it than I am. I'm just mildly against it.
I hate it. At least it's annoying. I went even though after, all the George Floyd stuff and everything else, and the stuff the Twins did, I was like, I'm never going to a Twins game again. Well, a buddy of mine who I never thought was going to get married, is getting married, and his bachelor party we're going to a Twins game. And I'm like, all right, this is how much I love you. I'm going to go to a Twins game. So I go to the game. And I'm looking up and I see this countdown clock in between every pitch. And like the games have changed so much since I was a kid, where it's like there's just constant stuff going on everywhere, like all these screens and everything else. And it's like the reason I love baseball, I still love baseball, despite what I said at the Right Response conference. I love the game. It's a great. My son is going to play, this year. I'm pumped about it. Love the game, and it's like it's a peaceful, bucolic game where you just sit and absorb it. Sit and like my favorite thing to do at games, and this comes because I was bad at baseball, even though my varsity, and I think I maybe told you this, my varsity batting average, it's really good. I batted over 300 in varsity. Right. There you go. Pretty good batting average.
You're a good hitter.
Great hitter. Except I got 3 total at bats in varsity. And I got 4 plate appearances, 3 at bats. My on base percentage is 500 because I got hit by a pitch. And with 1 strike, or no, my on base percentage was like 750 because I got a walk too. And I was doing Moneyball 20 years ago for the Waseca high school team. And I got 1 strikeout. And my single solitary hit is from, I misread the sign. And the coach was having the guy that was on first steal. And he gave me the take sign because he didn't want me to swing. And messed it up. And, I missed the take sign. I take a swing and I hit the weakest possible ground ball to exactly where the second baseman had been.
Yeah,
but he was covering second for the runner stealing, and so he's like running back to where he was, dives, like misses him by like inches, and slowly just dribbles to right field. And that was my lone hit, my lone varsity hit. But I loved the game. So what I would do, since I hardly ever got to play, I'd just be like a defensive substitute right all the time, even though I'm slow. But I'm good. I was great in right field, man. I made a diving catch one time.
That's glory right there.
Glory. It was like, everybody got out of the dugout and went crazy. But I was in charge of keeping the book.
The book. Yeah.
I kept the stats. I was the statistician. In addition to being the backup right fielder. And so, man, I got so good at keeping the book. I was keeping track of pitches, because the coach needed to know that if he's got to take a guy out, how many is he at right now? So I got really good at that. So I would go to Twins games and I would because they would sell them in the concession stand for like $1. Yeah. And I'd just buy a scorecard and I'd just be keeping it. And one time I went to a Twins game when I was in college at the Rangers Stadium, and I'm just, and like the Rangers were bad at the time, the Twins were bad at the time. There were maybe 1,000 people in the entire stadium. And I got my Twins hat on and I'm keeping the book, and like the entire commercial, like the the bumper from the commercial break is just me, keeping the, fixing. Awesome. Oh, that was an error. Awesome. And yeah, they were like making fun of me, like this guy's really into it. Like, all of a sudden my phone's going crazy. Like, you were on the Twins game, man.
That is so cool, man.
I think Burt Blyleven maybe circled me. I don't know. But no, man, like baseball it was peaceful, right? Because you're waiting, like you hear, like you could be in the nosebleeds way out in left field, like third level, and you could hear the ball hitting the catcher's glove. You could hear the crack of the bat, and like that's the only sound you hear, right? You could hear the guys yelling at each other, 2 outs, whatever. And now you can't hear anything. Now it's just like, like all the Hispanic sounds going off, and you're familiar with all of those, I'm sure.
Very familiar, intimately.
And it's just like, this is just too much. I was getting sensory overload, man. I hate that now that I get why it is, because it's like you gotta keep people's attention. That's the only, and it's a boring game unless you are not a boring person. But most people are boring people.
Yeah, you're right.
So that bugs me. But I love like going to a baseball game for all those reasons, because like I'm taking it all in. I'm like, oh, where's the third? Oh, he's even with the bag. Okay. And then, oh, he's over there now. And okay, that last pitch, that was a curveball. I wonder if he's gonna throw a fastball now. And like, what's he doing? Like all that kind of stuff you think about.
Yep.
And now you like I couldn't do it. I couldn't like get into the game. Yeah. So because
I agree.
Yeah.
I used to love it because you could just watch it and do something else while you're watching it, and you wouldn't really miss much. Now the games are very quick, so you kind of have to pay attention like you would like a hockey game or something like that. So that's not ideal. One of the things I love about it, though, you probably would like this as well, is that they're trending in the wrong direction, in my opinion, but it's still the only sport really that's kind of tied locally to the location. So every club has their announcers, and so the game sounds like when you watch a New York Mets game, it sounds like a New York Mets game because they have the same announcers and they're like the local team that travels with the team. It's not a national production typically. They have games on Sunday that are national games and whatever. But the other sports, it's like it's all about the national stage. It's not really about the local stage. I really like that because it becomes it's kind of counterintuitive, because when they avoid the national stage like they do, it actually becomes almost more like American. It's like there's more pride behind it, almost like there's more of a camaraderie there. It's regional.
Yeah. There was a clip that like went viral the other day. And I'm scrolling through and I got the sound on my timeline. And before I saw like the video, I hear it. And I could hear it was Corey Provis, the play-by-play guy for the Twins.
You just knew what it was. Yep.
And I it's Twins game. And it was like, I can't tell who the color guy was, but he's like, you ever see Buck with his pants down? Corey Provis was like, what? No, I haven't.
There's a lot of lore too, man.
He meant like, he meant like, he pulls his pants up to show his socks, like you pull, like that's what he meant. It's like, it's got to be a better way to phrase that,
Or that's what I love about it too. There's these storylines that happen over years with these announcers, and it's like it's great in that way, because it's like a never ending like friendship almost with these guys.
Who's the Reds announcer? He said, he said the F word, thinking the mic wasn't on. Not the F word that refers to coitus, but the F word that refers to homosexual.
What you're talking about?
And Bert Blyleven said the F word, the other F word. It was the funniest clip I've ever seen in my life. It's like, Bert, we're live. I did not know that. But he's like, Tom Brenneman, because he had his football too, and he's like issuing this apology, like this. I'm so sorry. I can't believe I had a deep fly ball for Castellanos.
I might have shared that one pretty recently because that one's too funny.
Like
all of his apologies.
Yeah, only in baseball can you have moments like that. And I love the sport, man. But I don't know, football's got it for me, man. Like and that's one where I think for football, it's probably because I'm both ADD and autistic at the same time.
Yeah.
Where the ADD of a modern, a contemporary baseball game with all this stuff going too much overstimulated. But a football game, it's like, all right, 5 seconds, everything happens. You get about 30 seconds to recover, 40 seconds to recover. Another thing happens, and it's just on and on and on and on for 3 hours. And but then in like the off season, you get to analyze. You get to autistically analyze everything. Like, oh, what's the team's cap situation? Like, oh yeah, they're probably have to and but then that leaves a hole over there. Like, who are they going to sign? Who are the free agents that are available? Like, I don't know. I wonder if they're going to trade for this guy. And it's like, and the analysis is exciting. So it scratches me in all the places that I itch. Where like they took away all the things in baseball that I loved. Like I loved the game within the game. I loved the chess match in baseball growing up, where it's like, oh man, are they going to bunt this guy over and put him in, and then he's on third, and then this guy could easily hit a fly ball, and then that would, the closer's warming up. Like, I think we're going to win this game.
Bunting now is so rare. It's like an event. It's like, oh wow, he bunted. I can't believe it.
I know. Plus, like, this is the other beef. This is the other beef I've got with Major League Baseball. Even though, like, the Twins, American League, I never got to see pitchers hit, except for interleague games, and they took that away. They took that away from the National League. I hate it so much, because that forced you to do small ball stuff. Like, you're like, it's like, if they were going to make it uniform, they should have just made both, like, just get rid of the DH, or like, say the pitchers have to hit unless they're being pinch hit. You got to DH somebody else on your team. Like, the catcher is going to have DH. Like, that would have been way more interesting. And it's like,
it took away so many great moments. I mean, like, when a pitcher got a hold of one, like, it was so cool, man. Like, everyone was pumped. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, I know. And I missed that. And like, it made interleague games like really exciting, because it's like, oh, all right, the Twins are in St. Louis. They're playing the Cardinals. I wonder, I can't wait to see Johan Santana hit. I remember the game against the Mets. This is probably why they traded for him. He hit a home run.
Yeah, I think I remember that too.
Yeah, we were watching the same game, man, from different sides. And because I think they traded for him the next season. And it was like, whoa, that's incredible. Like, he's awesome. And so, yeah, I just love sports, though. I mean, we've probably lost a ton of people at this point, but I love them, partly because some of the stuff that we've talked about is, like, they are objective. It's reality. Like, you can't you can't pretend things aren't the way that they are. Like, either the guy can hit or he can't. Right? Either the guy can play defensive tackle really well, or you got to find somebody else to fill that spot. Like, you either succeed or you fail, and you either win or you lose, unless it's hockey. Well, even there you win, but then you might get a point because you went to overtime. So unless it's soccer, then you can tie and it's weird. Well, I mean, I guess NFL you could tie. Donovan McNabb didn't know that you could tie. That's the other one of the funniest things in the history of sport. His press conference,
very Jets-esque. That would have been perfect on the Jets.
Was he with the Redskins at that? I can't remember. He wasn't with the Eagles anymore. I think he was on the Redskins at that time. And I just saved the algorithm now because we're talking about sports, and I mentioned the Redskins in the context of, no identity hires in sports, at least for players for the most part. Like they do it for coaches a little bit, like front office people.
They certainly do.
Yeah, they totally.
I know that all too well.
Me too, with the teams that I follow, and it's like, but then again, like if you hire a guy who is not competent because you want the PR because he's from the right racial group, and he's terrible at his job, then you lose. Like you still lose.
Yeah, eventually he gets launched.
Yeah, and so like it is, there's still like an objective reality they have to abide by within sports. And so I think that's part of the reason, and it's not the major reason. Like some of it is just like, it's cool, right? It's fun to watch. It's enjoyable. And like, these are the like 0.0001% that can do this stuff. Like my hometown had a guy that made it all the way to AAA. And then he came back. You probably don't have this there, but in Minnesota, every like small town has their own town ball team. So like guys, all the way to my age of 40 years old, I'll be out there playing, like local guys playing for the town ball team. And like every town has a team. And so he washed out of the minors and came back, and like and so like the place was packed to see him play. And his first game, I think he hit 3 home runs and 2 doubles and went 5 for 5. And like the doubles he hit were like ordinary singles, right? He would just, he just bop it into right field, just drops in there, and the right fielder just kind of lazily gets to it, and Barry, he would be rounding first before the guy even got to the ball, and guy gets to the ball, guns it as hard as he can, and he's like fastest guy I'd ever seen.
Yep.
And it's like, whoa, that's a guy that couldn't make it into the majors,
right? And even the bums are like the best players you can imagine in real life.
Yeah, he looks like he's playing with 12-year-olds, right? It was incredible. And it's like, yeah, these guys, like the guy that's hitting like 100 that is a September call up, is if you saw him, he would be the best baseball player you have ever seen. And it's the same thing for like NFL, like guys who are on, like, they get a cup of coffee on a practice squad somewhere, and it's like, no, that guy, everywhere he went, he has always been the best football player. He is on every team he's ever been on. Yeah. And it's like barely just kind of for a hot tick made it to a training camp, and it's like, no, that guy was good. But you watch him and you think like, this guy sucks. He's terrible. Like, what? Get him out of there. And like they're so good at it. And like you see incredible stuff, right? And there's also like a martial aspect to it. I think the fact of how objective it is, there's a masculine aspect to that as well, obviously. And so it's like I want my sons, even though like, yeah, my son's not going to play in the NFL, right? He's not going to be a Major League Baseball player. Unlike most millennial dads, I don't envision my sons, and I'm not sending him to like a $5,000 a year, like quarterback camp or something. Like he's not going to do that, but like, I want him to play. I want him to acquit himself well, because it forms you, it shapes you as a man to play sport. And so like, I think it's good. Does it become obsessive for some people? That it turn into their personality? Yeah, it does. But
hey, man, I used to be that way. I did. But,
oh yeah, me too.
That's how you know my conversion's real, though, because I used to be that, and now. So all you women out there need to be looking for these guys that are.
Yeah, there's no meth stuff in your background. There's no Star Wars stuff anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah.
It's like,
you set me straight on that.
Did I make fun of you for that ever?
I don't know if you did. I know some guys definitely did.
Somebody probably did. Yeah. I don't think I ever did. Yeah, I still like a Star Wars too every now and again. Like I'll come home sometimes and my sons will be like screaming at each other. They'll be like, oh, yeah. And I'm thinking like, oh no, do I need to go in there and figure it out? And it's like, no, they're reenacting Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
You are my brother, Anakin. They're like, oh no, they're okay. They're fine.
Very good.
Well, we've gone, oh my goodness, we've been doing this for 2.5 hours. And I told my wife I'd be home at 6 p.m. So
you got to get home, my friend.
I better get home. She's listening. Honey, I'll be home in a minute. Man, thank you for watching. Anyone who doesn't know you, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, 80 Robles Media, or I guess X, and then I'm on YouTube. You can look up 80 Robles on YouTube. I'll be there.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, thank you all for watching, joining us. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful Palm Sunday with your families and with your churches. And we will see you all next time. Thanks.
God bless.